Well, the police has detained pro-feeding ban protesters in Mumbai. Well, there has been a huge controversy over feeding pigeons in Mumbai and controversy over Dadar's Kaputar Khana as well. We understand the Bombay High Court is also expected to take up the pigeon feeding ban amidst call for protest in support of and against the ban. And these are visuals also coming in. We understand now the police has taken into custody those protesters in Mumbai who are pro-feeding ban protesters who've been detained now. Well, the Bombay High Court is also expected to hear the matter. Supreme Court had earlier refused to interfere in the matter. The Bombay High Court had given orders directing the BMC to prosecute those feeding pigeons at Mumbai's Kaputar Khanas. And we understand the Marathi Ekikaran Samiti had also given a call for a massive protest at Dadar Kaputar Khana, demanding authorities to continue the implementation of the ban on feeding pigeons and closure of these places. But we do understand now these visuals now coming in from Mumbai as protesters have been detained by the police. We understand number of people had gathered here who were pro-feeding ban protesters who assembled here to register their protest, but now they've been taken into custody by the police. My colleague Saurabh is also now joining us live on the broadcast. He is getting us more on that. Saurabh, we understand number of people have been taken into custody by the police. What's happening on the ground? What can you tell us?
Well, you know, we're at the iconic Dadar Kaputar Khana, which has been one of the longest running public pigeon feeding spots in the country. It's also known as Kaputar Khana, the entire area, named after this particular pigeon feeding spot. Now, you can see, of course, this is a very busy thoroughfare as well. And therefore, the protesters who were here have been taken away by the Mumbai police in these police vans. You can see the police trying to now clear the road for traffic, detaining the protesters who were here. These are pro-feeding ban protesters, which means they want the ban on feeding to continue. Now, there are, of course, people who don't want the ban to continue and who are protesting also for the ban to be reversed. They say that, you know, it's a part of the central tenets of one of the Jain religious practices, and therefore they don't want the ban to continue. But you can see, of course, policemen trying to clear the area and make sure that there is no problem for traffic. The police ensuring that law and order is maintained while the court takes up this issue. There's a larger debate on this. It's taken a religious turn as well. Religious beliefs versus health concerns. And the government of Maharashtra has made it very clear that there has to be a balanced approach to this. There has to be a middle path. While one cannot ignore and completely put aside the health concerns that have been attributed to the significant rise in pigeon population and therefore pigeon droppings as well, and exposure to which can cause severe lung ailments. There is also a belief that pigeon feeding, and you can see, of course, this is the Kaputar Khana, so if I can ask my camera person to pan and show you, there are pigeons around, no doubt, even when the Kaputar Khana has been shut, because there are people who are feeding them on terraces, etc. But a ban has been imposed on feeding pigeons in public spots, and therefore this Kaputar Khana, which is right outside a Jain temple as well, has been covered up by the BMC, the civic authorities, and the police, of course, ensuring that no one is around to block this way. You can see the police barricades and policemen on the ground detaining protesters who came in. These were, of course, like I said, pro-ban protesters who are here, and these protests continuing here in Mumbai's Dadar Kaputar Khana, an iconic pigeon feeding spot. In fact, like I said, the area is known as Kaputar Khana, but obviously the ban and the entire legal part of this whole issue will be taken up by the Bombay High Court, which is discussing this issue today as well.
So the ban on these Kaputar Khanas has sparked uproar in Maharashtra, and we understand in Mumbai's Dadar also we've seen restless crowd surrounding the pigeon feeding sites. We understand, the police has also now detained these protesters who are pro-feeding ban protesters. Help us understand, Saurabh, how big has been this, how big of a problem has this been in Mumbai, and what has been the stance of the government so far? The government seems to have changed its stance also in the recent few days.
Well, pigeons have been a bit of a problem in Mumbai, and it's largely the explosion in pigeon population and the huge spike in pigeon population. Having said that, there is also a belief that, this has led to health concerns, particularly with those exposed to pigeon droppings regularly. Precautions suggested by doctors is wearing masks to prevent yourself from, prolonged exposure to pigeon droppings or particles that are related to pigeon droppings that after they become dry, when you scrape them, etc., which can still circulate in the air as particles. So that's something that that can lead to health hazards, and that's something that's become a bit of a problem if you speak to health experts. While those who say that the ban is arbitrary and against the religious practices of the Jain community, they say that the figures do not support an absolute claim that these pigeon dropping related exposure is directly responsible for lung ailments. So there is a bit of a debate on that, but it is quite clear that pigeon population has grown, pigeon dropping has increased, and there is definitely a number of people who've been exposed to pigeon droppings and have had health issues because of that. And therefore, this has become a bit of an issue between two groups. That was the reason that prompted the state government to order this move on July 4th, directing the BMC to implement the ban. But we understand now Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has also now called this closure as abrupt. What happens in the court next remains to be seen. But yes, we understand there has been a huge uproar over this issue. And we have these visuals also coming in with protesters on the streets of Mumbai here taking out their protest, and they've been detained also by the police here. All right, thank you so much, Saurabh, for getting us all those details there. We'll come back to you later as more comes in.